Ladies and gentlemen, and people of the world, and our 17 actual subscribers, welcome to the show. I was thinking, am I close to retirement? 17. I mean,
Getting there.
damn near close to 20.
Dude.
20 humans.
I haven't checked this morning. We may be 20 as we speak. I have no idea.
No, if we're at 20, I'm quitting tomorrow.
Dude, seriously, yeah.
I'm walking in and I'm putting in my 2-week notice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell them I'm going to be famous and take this job and shove it. The kids say that nowadays? No, wait. The kids just say, I'm not giving you a 2-week notice. I quit.
This is true. This is true. Does that happen to you? You get
yeah. Yes. But I got an older generation somewhat that work for me. But yes, people, the amount of people who just call out and just yes, it happens to me.
You ever quit a job that way? Just like
no. I've always put in a 2-week. I don't care what the thing is. They don't have to give you a 2-week notice is a thing, but I don't know. I grew up different. You're right. They don't have to give you a 2-week notice. If you're getting fired, if you're getting laid off.
If you're getting laid off, usually there's a little bit of a, it's usually you don't walk in and you're laid off on that day. I guess it does happen. I think
I'm sure it happens. People, they have to close their doors and mass layoffs. I've seen it with big corporations. What they do is they mass lay off and then they hire a bunch of new people at a cheaper rate. But yeah, I've never quit a job. I've never actually just said I quit. I've wanted to a million times. A million. I've had days where I'm just like, fuck this. This ain't worth it.
The point is when you put in the 2 weeks notice, it's not so much as a courtesy for those other people because those people could be assholes. It's more about who you are, and this is what I'm going to put into my work. You know what I'm saying? And
it's a courtesy to your team that you work with, so they don't have to put in harder work.
Yeah, for real.
Anyways, how's your week?
My week's been pretty good. I'm gonna probably have to start adding in a day of work because my Friday workload is just becoming heinous, and I feel like I'm at the gym all day, and I get home and I'll fall asleep by 8:00. It's bad. So probably gonna have to do it.
There's got to be a way, dude, to not work on Saturday.
It would require hiring. My friend Isaiah, who works with me right now, I would have to have him work, a day a week, like consistently. Right now he covers me for vacations. He does some spot for me and stuff like that. And he wants to get into the business. So we're going to try and build up my route and then sell it to him, or build a second route and split the routes and then sell him one. And
does he work with you on Fridays?
He doesn't work with me regularly yet at all. It's just to cover certain days and stuff like that. We went to Julian last week, and so he covered me on, I think, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. So gave me a long weekend kind of a thing.
Why don't you have him work with you like 4 hours on a Friday to alleviate that workload?
Yeah. You know what? Actually, that is not a bad idea. And I have done that when I had to get up to Orange County and help my buddy move out. He had an emergency move out situation. And so I had to get up there and help him. And it was a Friday. And, it's my bear of a day. Literally, dude, I probably sell about half my bread on Friday for the whole week. My van is packed.
So it makes sense. Why put a Saturday? Why make yourself work a Saturday when you could just bring someone in if he's available for like a half day, 4 or 5 hours on a Friday to help alleviate all that workload?
That probably makes more sense. I think right now Isaiah's work schedule doesn't really work out that way. He could come in and help me on a Friday. Actually, you know what? You're right. He could do that because he works later on in the day, so he can do that split day. Look at you giving me all this advice. Appreciate that. I'll talk to him about it. I'll tell you though, right now Like I was sore yesterday. Like I had hit the gym all day on Friday. Like it was crazy. Like my muscles were just.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, at our age, and no offense, but it's no point of putting in that. I mean, work. I don't see the point of it.
Yeah.
To me, if you could pay someone to help you for half a day, meet you over at the account or whatever you have to do, and
That,
help with the heavy lifting and putting stuff where it needs to go, so you don't have to run all over the venue that you're servicing. One can go one way, one can go the other way. You just got to get a few more bread racks maybe to throw in there, or some more wheels. You know, if you, I don't know if
no,
you.
we have all the equipment. We've done that before. It's yeah, he could totally do that.
I would do that every single Friday. Here's $100, 4 hours of work. Let's go.
That's true. No, that's exactly right too. It's about
Whatever you pay them, you know what I mean? I don't know.
no,
But,
actually, that's exactly what I would pay him for 4 hours of work. Yeah.
there you go.
I think what
Perfect.
we need to do, what I still need to train him on a couple of other things, like to be able to write orders and things like that. But as soon as that, because he's really good, he's a natural at it. He had a mail route, a mail carrier route back in the day, so he understands the idea of route work, loading the way that you're going to unload it. So there's a lot of things that just really,
Yeah, I had an order come in from a purveyor. It was $6,000, and they loaded the truck backwards.
Oh,
So he's there, and he has to unload everything on that
oh,
truck, and it was a semi, so it was a large truck to get
he
to
was
my
so mad. He was
to get to
so
my
mad.
order. He was so mad.
Dude, like we've had shit ruin our days before at work, but I don't think we could really compute it to what that dude had to go through. That's rough.
Yeah, he was, and he has 5 stops on
Oh,
just us, with
oh,
just us. So he
oh,
goes to one, then goes to the next, and and they're all all the way to the back.
oh man, that's horrible.
Oh yeah, crazy.
How about you? How was
Anyways,
your week?
how was my? It was good.
How many times did you go to orchestra practice and concerts?
This week only 2, next week 3, I believe. So
Saw
this week, yesterday she was. It wasn't really a practice. She had to play in front of a judge, like a solo, and then she gets scored on it. And I'm not sure if that has to do with high school. She auditioned for the high school on Friday,
okay.
and then Saturday she had to play a solo in front of a single judge, and then today's an actual concert for CTP. So
So
there's Friday
Becky,
and Saturday were school. Today is uh, CTP. Um, CTPO, I think it's called Central Texas Philharmonic. Oh, it's CTPYO, Central Texas Philharmonic Youth Orchestra. There's a concert today.
nice. So Becky posted something where Maddie was playing, standing next to just a pianist, and she
Yeah,
was
that
reading
was it.
music.
That was it.
Was that her in front of the judge?
Yeah, the judge was. I
Whoa,
don't know
bro!
if you see the judge in there, but
Yeah, fucking sounded good, man. That's
yeah, she screwed up halfway through. She said, but well, she did because she stopped. But as long as you can pick up right where you left off, they don't
yeah, that's good.
penalize you. So we'll see.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
See what happens.
It's good that she's in a like she's playing like high level. You know what I'm saying? So it's good for you because you got to go see so many of them. I remember, you know, youth theater, and there were some shows that man, sitting through an hour and 45 minutes of that was hard. But
Yeah,
when they
it's
got
still.
when they got better and the shows got better, it becomes way easier. And so just like with soccer, watching a rec soccer game sometimes was tough, but club soccer is usually pretty good. They're playing at a higher level. It's more
Yeah,
entertaining.
watching her when she first started, oh my god, it was like cross buns over and over and over again. Oh my god! Today they're playing Star Wars stuff.
Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah, that's right. May the 4th be with you, my friend. Today
Yeah,
we're recording this on May the 4th.
yeah.
And look at me, dyslexic. I'm wearing an X-Men shirt on May the 4th.
I have a thrice shirt on underneath this, but it's a little chilly out here, so I had to throw a hoodie on. So I was I think I told you about this. So this guy John Underhill.
Yep. Yep.
Let me take you back. So about a couple months back, I was just scrolling Instagram and I saw this thing about this guy who's skateboarding across America from North Carolina to LA, and it's just him, his phone. In the beginning, he had a tent and stuff, backpack, and a skateboard. And and let me tell you, and I know you've watched some of it. To me, it's just bonkers,
Yeah.
wild. That
Yeah.
number one, he has the stamina to. I know some of these roads, especially when you get into the Southwest, these highways. There's just nothing for miles and miles, and this dude just keeps going, going in the middle of the night over down these highways on just his skateboard, 20, 30 miles at a clip. And I saw he was on a live last night, so I jumped in, and they just happened to be talking about why he did it. So I thought it was kind of, I thought you asked it at first. I was like, "Is Jim in there?"
No. That's crazy because I asked
He
you.
was talking about. He said he was he. I want to get this right because I'm probably going to be off on some of this. He took like an eighth of mushrooms, right? And
Nice.
he and started driving, right? So he told his buddy, he's like, "I'm going on a drive," and he drove 9 hours to
On mushrooms.
Pennsylvania. Drove to Pennsylvania 9 hours, and then he saw these other guys who were skateboarding. Like he saw a story about these other dudes who were skateboarding. Like I don't know if they were going across America or where they're going across the state. And he's like, oh, I think I'm going to try that. I want to try that. He said he tried it to test. If I remember correctly, don't quote me. Test his will,
Okay.
test him as a man, test his brain, you know what I mean, and just see if he could do it. And that's how it happened. Nothing special, no charity, I don't think, just to see if he could do it. And here we are. I think he was on day 102 yesterday. It took him 30 some odd days to get through Texas alone on his skateboard.
I can believe
New
that. Yeah.
Mexico now. New Mexico now, day 102.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's
still
just,
in Texas.
yeah. I sat and watched it for like 2 hours, one by one. I was like, I can't stop watching this. Why can't I stop watching this? It's kind of crazy. It's really ballsy, and much respect to him because that's wild. Your knees, your legs, after going that far, the wheels on his on his skateboard, they look like squares at points.
Yeah. I saw that.
He almost got someone tried to run him off the road, like came straight at him.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, someone came straight at him in Texas, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Texas. Like drove at him. He had to jump off the board, broke his board.
They hit his board?
I believe so. Well, his board was broken. I don't know. They had to have hit it, yeah. And he had a full bottle of Gatorade, and he just whipped it at him. Like he whipped it at the windshield as it was coming towards him.
And that's all on video.
I believe so, yeah. They don't have some of it's on video.
So I was reading some of the comments, and I was a little curious about how he's going to get through the desert coming up and those mountains. Like we talked about that. He's going to have to go through some mountains somewhere. I don't think they're completely avoidable going from.
I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he walked up some of them. To be honest with you.
But then now what are we talking? He doesn't have a tent anymore. You said
yeah, I forgot you're not all the way through. He ditched the tent for just a sleeping bag.
Oh man.
And he finds things to sleep under.
Yeah, I know that. I saw that. At this point, my guess is if he puts the word out, he can get some people to drop him some gear, to get a little bit further. He's going to need going through the mountains. Like, listen, we're talking about this dude like he's a friend of ours and shit. We're like, he's going to be going through the mountains and shit. He's going to need, because even if it's summertime, when he's up above like 6,000, 7,000 elevation, and I don't think there's any pass that, well, the cone maybe. You did mention that one route that you can go up the 10, and he seems to be following the 10. But I'm thinking somewhere between New Mexico and Arizona, he's going to have to cross some mountains. Either in the desert, there'll be these big ass hills and shit that he's got to get through, or it'll be, Flagstaff and shit.
I'm sure the dude. Yeah, I believe he is going through Flagstaff. I think I
That's
saw
now
him. But
that
I mean, the dude's gotten this far, over 2,000 miles on a skateboard. I'm sure he's encountered it at some point.
not like
And
that.
I'm
Not like this
assuming.
one.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Like
Find
we are
out
gonna
together,
see.
man. I uh,
And it's getting towards
I,
summer. Like it's
I
getting.
think it's kind of cool, man. I don't
Oh,
know.
it is.
It
I
blows my
definitely.
mind
Here's
that
what I
someone
would say.
would do that.
I appreciate that the dude was honest and said that it was a mushroom experience that triggered this. I wish he hadn't have driven. I'm not so impressed with that. That bothers me a little bit.
What do you
I wish
mean? He
he
didn't
had,
drive anywhere.
huh? You said he
No, no,
drove.
no. He that night he drove to Pennsylvania, and then he's like, you know what? And then he thought of the idea of
But
skateboarding. So
he
he went
drove.
back to North Carolina, and then he got on a skateboard, and then he.
He drove while he was on mushrooms, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. That's none of my business. I don't care.
Well, that's why I do draw a line, because I do actually like the idea of being able to use psychedelics for purposes and stuff like that. But I think it gives you a bad name if people are doing things that are dangerous to other people on it. I'm like that with
Listen,
everything. Like that
I'm
with
going to
weed.
be devil's advocate on this one.
Okay,
I've
go
done
for
a
it.
lot of bad shit.
Yeah,
You don't think about that when you're on the actual
it's
substance.
true.
You're not going to be like, oh,
It's true,
maybe I
but you have
should
to.
try it.
I mean, it's
So
one of those
me,
things. No,
I
no.
did, I did, I did, I did mushrooms once, and there was this big old hill in my old town I used to live in. And we go all the way to the top, and I turn the lights off in my car, and I just gun it all the way down the hill. And there's no street lamps. Did that so many times one night. I didn't think about it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not judging.
All right. All right. We'll get past it. We'll get past it. I'm glad he was honest, though. It was cool. I like the dude. I get like a very Groundhog Day type of vibe to it, where it's like very, very much the same every day, but then also like these little incremental changes and differences in landscape and differences in how he's feeling on those days just makes it all. It's very compelling. I know why you were scrolling. I did it for about an hour myself.
Yeah, and I think it's good for him to keep some sort of semblance of normalcy. You know what I mean? To hear
Yeah.
people talk and comments that people are, because some of that landscape is very daunting and very lonely. I'm
Oh yeah.
assuming
I can remember Texas, especially, man. I mean, that's just
the
a lot.
worst state ever to drive through. Worst.
And he goes through like what he said he was going through Austin, so that's and
He
Houston.
does
So
end up through Austin. That's Central Texas.
northern part of the state, but he like skips the Panhandle. Is that right? Goes under the
I don't
Panhandle.
think he goes to the Panhandle. No, that would be way up top. That would be
Right.
out of his way.
Okay. Yeah. So, wow. So he goes through basically the widest part of Texas.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I like it. I think he seems like a decent dude. He's got good vibes. He doesn't really say a whole. Apparently, someone tried to run him off the road and he threw the Gatorade at him, but other than that, he seems to be a really chill
Yeah, I
guy.
would have thrown a rock.
If you had a rock, yeah, or that's so messed up. What kind of car was it? You don't know, do you?
I think they said it was a pickup. He said it was a pickup, but yeah. So
Wow. What about what a chump move to do that? And do you think that person knew who he was, or just saw somebody skating on the highway and like, you know what, I'm gonna
I
teach
saw
this.
someone skating on the highway. I think he's got pulled over like 11 times by the cops.
I saw that he got pulled over 5 times in Alabama, I think.
Yeah,
Alabama looked rough to skateboard through. Like no shoulder, the roads are just chewed up and gravelly and
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I was a cop, I'd probably pull him over too to see what the hell's going on. Like, what are you doing, bro?
for sure. He hasn't been arrested, has he?
Oh, no.
No, so yeah, I don't think there's any problem with it's also like could be like considered a welfare check, don't you think? Make sure this dude's okay.
Is it legal to skateboard on a freeway, on a highway?
I don't know.
On the shoulder? What?
I,
I guess you can ride a bike on the shoulder, right? On the highway? Not like the freeway. No, the freeway, not the highway. Which one's different? Which one's the more? Freeway is the more busy one, like the highway, like the 10.
right. Well, for stretches, the 10 is a freeway, as well.
Yeah, when you go through big cities.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a freeway all the way through Central California or through Southern California. It's 3 lanes on either side the whole way from I think, well, not the border, but probably from like Indio all the way up to LA. I think it's 3 lanes on either side.
Yeah.
It's big.
Well,
No.
if you guys haven't noticed, Jim over here is the more rational thinking one of the two of us. he's a more cautious than the two of us than I am.
That's so funny that you said that. And I'm the one who went out and said that, like, Nelly was R. Kelly.
You're still going back to that? Come on.
I lose sleep over it. I really do,
Listen,
man.
listen, I'm going to be your therapist here. You need to, Jim, repeat after me.
What?
When I thought Nelly and R. Kelly were the same, it was a mistake, and I forgive myself. Now repeat that. Waiting.
When I thought that R. Kelly was Nelly, it was a mistake, and I forgive myself.
Yes, thank you. Now let's move on from the R. Kelly incident of episode 2, and let's move on to other things. Now,
well, actually, I'm going to go see Nelly. I'm going to actually go see Nelly this year. He's coming to town.
Okay, then that's where the Band-Aid comes in. You got to wear the Band-Aid.
I'm going to wear the Band-Aid that week. That's right.
And I want you to do me a favor and get a poster board, and it says, Nelly, I'm sorry for confusing you for R. Kelly, and I want you to hold it over your head, please.
I can already tell you that Christine says no. That's a hard no.
So, Jim has picked this week's subject.
Oh,
and what we're going to talk about, buddy. And again,
I
do zero research, very little research. I apologize.
First of all, let's just say that this little thing that we do is not a research-oriented conversation. We're having a conversation, and when we first started, like, I wanted to like have a full-on script, remember? Like, and you're like, oh, hey, let's just go in there and like start talking like we're on the phone, and whatever comes up comes up. And we've sort of landed somewhere in the middle. We have these ideas. We still don't have a script. I probably should have notes. At least that's what my daughter tells me. But I like the feeling of this loose conversation.
We don't need no fucking notes, bro.
Yeah. So anyway, when I thought about this before, I had a different idea about what it was than I do now. Right. So, and Jason says that he didn't do any research, but he did post something up on Facebook, and it got some responses, a couple of them, and some of them were insightful, especially to me. So it kind of changed a little bit. We're going to talk about the idea of the tradwife and the influencing trend that is going on with this phenomenon. And I'm going to start by saying that I was initially really taken back by it because I saw it, especially because there's certain. First of all, let me explain what a tradwife is the best that I can, because I'm deep in the weeds. I'm deep in the weeds on this, deeper than I thought I was going to be. But the idea of the tradwife, I think the current trend sort of grows out of the cottage chic trend that was going on at the end or in the middle of lockdown in COVID. People came home, they started doing things like baking breads and just doing things around their houses and stuff like that. It all became very home oriented, and it became a trend. People were posting up what they were doing up on, everyone was baking breads and waiting for their sourdough to rise and do all this other kind of stuff. And I think that seemed to segue into this notion of a traditional wife. When everything opened back up and people went back to work, a lot of people and a lot of families were influenced by the idea of having someone stay at home and manage the household, right? And then it's sort of also the trend also seemed to gravitate to and start to include a lot of religious undertones and overtones. And here's the problem. I'm trying to explain something as if it's monolithic, and it's not. This whole idea of a tradwife is many, many different things. Okay. There's it's mixed up with the idea of a stay-at-home mom, and then also mixed up with the biblical notion of what a traditional wife is, as well as the 1950s mystique of, the man in the gray flannel suit who goes off to work, and he comes home and the woman is, perfect, and dinner's ready and the kids are raised, and all of these things kind of take up this space that some people refer to as tradwife, right? My concern, as it occurred to me that this was a thing, was as a father of two daughters, I don't want them to feel as though they have to count on somebody else to survive. I want them to have their own skills, whether or not they take those skills and keep them in the home to raise family. If that's what they're happy doing, then that's great by me. I don't mind if they do it that way. I don't mind if they work and their husband stays in the home and takes care of the kids. Whatever works for the family is what seems best to me. The problem is, as I started watching some of these influencers and stuff like that, I started hearing some of this stuff, like these pot shots that some of these women were taking against feminism, for like setting it up like a straw man argument where there was no reason to do it whatsoever. Like it's it's as if they're making an argument about a critique that was never made against them, and they're like creating that critique themselves, saying things like, well, thank you, feminists, for giving us the trousers, but I've decided to devote my life to my family and my husband, or whatever, something like that. I don't think that or there was even more. They would assume that feminists were attacking them for deciding to stay home with their family. And though I searched, all I could find were feminists replying to these influencers who were taking shots at feminists. If you understand what I'm saying, I think by and large, most people that I've experienced and talked to on this subject have said, you do what's best for you and your family, man. No one should judge that. That's just a personal freaking thing. And if it works that way, and you're good at it, and one person brings in enough income and the other one keeps the family and the household managed, fuck yeah, that's, who could possibly critique that? You know what I'm saying? But I saw it some of this being wrapped up in patriarchy, and some of the patriarchy that I had mentioned to you before, that I've seen evolving out of the evangelical church that I used to belong to over a period of time, beginning with the not of this world emblem, which to me looks like the National Organization of Women's symbol with a sword stuck through it. I know. I don't expect. I know. Then you've got the stickers that capital H, capital E, greater than sign, little I, and you see a young woman driving a truck with the sticker on the back that says he, in all caps, is greater than I. And I'm just talking about the branding of it. You can believe that God is greater than you, and I think that is the case for most people, especially anyone who believes in God probably believes that God is greater than them. You could choose different words for that bumper sticker. You could say God is greater than I, but you put the capital H, capital E. That, to me, the branding of it is just sticking the patriarchy right there out front, and then trying to convince people, oh, it's not that. It's not that. This is just God. We're going to say that this is God. And the Bible calls God a he, and so God is he, and so that's who we're talking about. Jesus is he. In the meantime, the patriarchy goes on. And so that was my critique. In the meantime, I have been educated a little bit, especially by some of the comments on your post, and some of the people that I've talked to, that it's not this monolithic thing. And the other thing is that some of these influencers, they're not traditional wives. They've got their income. They're making money from this thing that they're doing, while trying to influence other people who maybe aren't making money doing this thing to stay home. And then that really is a sacrifice, and they really are having to submit to their husband because their husband's got all the money. You know what I'm saying? So there we go. Whew, got that off my chest. I think I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you talk for a couple minutes, and I'm going to drink some more coffee.
I will start with saying I did lazy research. I didn't do research. I thought to myself, let's see what the female population says. and we'll go from there. So I don't take credit for any of that. It's just something I posted on Facebook. But with that said, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, like I like to do. I'll start with the sticker thing.
Okay.
I really think that is a stretch. I know where you're coming from. I know where you're getting. I think that is marketing, but I don't think it's marketing. I mean, saying God is greater than I is kind of just, it's not a good marketing thing. It's just, it is what it is. You know, people already think that. In my brain, those stickers have been around for so long. I'm sure that some people, obviously we live in a large planet with a lot of humans on it, have that notion with that sticker and what it really means to them. But I don't think that's the way it generated. But that's just me. Same with the not of this world. I don't think they look the same. But to each his own. I mean, I try not to look too deep and put my tinfoil hat on when it comes to stuff like that. I try to be rational when I look at things. But not to say you're wrong, okay?
I have
I'm not.
religious trauma, Jason. I have some religious trauma, and I think that it affects.
I know you do. I know you do.
And I freely admit that I do see things and I look for things because I'm afraid of them. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it bears out. I'm sorry. Go on.
No. You're good. I just I can't. If I live that way, I freaking give myself freaking panic attacks all the time, and you know, I try not to do that. When it comes to the tradwife and the limited research that I have done, I can see that there's a difference between there's two different kinds of tradwives. There's your influencer who gets and that's kind of a newer thing, and that's what gets all the likes, and that's where everyone gets their content from, and that's where everyone makes up their mind on what they are. And then there's the traditional wife that's been around for decades, you know what I mean, who just stayed at home, raised her children, you know, taught them from home, cooked meals. I would say my mom would have been a trad wife. When you think about it, she's a traditional wife.
I was going to ask you about that. I thought so too. Yeah.
I have no having my daughters like learn a skill or self-sufficient or I think being able to bake bread from scratch and gardening, and that's a major skill, especially when the world falls apart. And we're gonna need a bunch of trad wives to keep us alive. The gardening, sewing, everything. I mean, these trad wives can probably take apart a gun, clean it, and put it back together. I don't judge them when it comes to the religious thing. I mean, that's been going on forever. That's just what they believe. You know what I mean? As long as it isn't affecting me, go for it. I just think these influencers are making it look bad. Are being they are playing for their audience. Let's put it that way. That's just my opinion. Again, I don't know this as fact. I think they're making it they're making it controversial, and I think a lot of them do it on purpose.
Which is why they take shots at feminism preemptively, right? So they want to draw fire.
I'm sure that's my thought. That's my thoughts, and they do. They're just they're baiting.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that of all of them, but I believe that there's an undertone of that in probably this, because this was never a thing before. It was just you were just a wife, and your husband worked. I mean, my mom meals for us every single day, made lunch for us, cleaned the house, did the grocery shopping, did the laundry, everything. I just thought of her as mom, you know, because that's just what it was back in the day. Now women are more independent, and that's great. I want my daughters to grow up and be as independent as humanly possible, and not have to rely on anyone, a man, a woman, whoever they are with or whatever they're doing. I don't want them to rely on them. But in the same tone, if that's what you're comfortable with, go for it, man.
If that's the arrangement for the family, if you know what I'm saying, it's a lot of it is consent. And, you know, if this is an arrangement that two people are coming to, I'm totally fine with that, and I told you before, it occurred to me, I had spent about a year and a half where I had hurt myself on the job, and Christine had to go back to work. And so I was the one who was taking the kids to school and picking them up and making breakfast and making dinner and doing the laundry and going on the field trips and stuff. So I have that experience, and I'm telling you that it worked for a while. I got to be honest, I'm so glad that I got to have that experience and know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard ass work raising kids and keeping a household going. You know what I'm saying? Not so sure that I believe gender roles are monolithic and belong to everybody in this way. I think that you could be a stay-at-home dad just as easily as you could be a stay-at-home mom. And if the mom has got more skill to bring in more money for the family and she enjoys the work, being in the workforce, and the guy, or the other partner, if it's not a guy, it feels more comfortable staying home, then that's just, who's anybody to judge, man? Let families make their families work. I was very, very influenced by one of the people who commented on your thread, Jason. It was the lady who said that she'd been essentially, first of all, she started by saying she was going to get chewed up for this, and that immediately got my attention. She expected to get criticized for what she was about to say. And then she just went into this honest detail about why they did what they did, why they decided to why she decided to take on this traditional role of a homekeeper and a house manager, and the things that they did and how difficult it was when they had toddlers, and how the property that they had was a disaster for sometimes. I mean, she was just totally upfront and honest about how hard it was to do what it was they decided to do, and that she still thought it was a good idea because nobody else raised their kids. There was always someone, and I can appreciate that, because Christine and I, with the exception of that one year and a half, when I came back to work, we were both working and we overlapped. So I would get up in the morning and get home by the time the kids got out of school, and I would pick them up, and she would get up and take the kids to school. So there was never someone else in the house. It was always one of us, so I understand that kind of give and take, and I understand what your friend was saying about just trying to figure out what's best to not have other people raise your kids. That's a value that certain people have, and I don't disrespect it, and the way that she articulated it changed the way that I thought. Maybe. Yep.
To sum it up for me, I think there's two different kinds of tradwives. Like I said before, there's your influencer who's making a lot of money off it. And then there's your regular old traditional wife who stays home, cooks. And that's not saying, I joke around like, yeah, I want a trad wife to rub my feet and have me a freaking old-fashioned stuff ready to go for me when I get off work, and my clothes ironed, and my food done, breakfast made. No, I really don't want that. I'm very that would annoy the shit out of me. Like, you can have me an old fashioned when I get home. That's cool, but I tried. I don't think that I could ever stay home. I would lose my God-loving mind. I would go crazy. I have to work.
Yeah.
I mean, my ADD won't allow me to freaking stay home. I can't. I mean, like I've said in the past, I can't even watch a TV show and get through it. The only thing that keeps my attention is live music. Everything else, I just, like you said, like you sent me a meme. Oh, look, squirrel, and I just go. It's
real.
Yeah, you're lucky you see me get me for 45 minutes on here without freaking, like, I'm staring around like, oh, I gotta fix that nail hole over there, and like.
Honestly, Jason, we're lucky that we ever did. We're lucky we ever even did one episode of this, because you and I are both fucking like that. So that's why we need a producer, someone to like.
Yeah, I think that we need to transition to some trad dad episode.
Yeah. We'll do little trad dad segments.
Trad dad segments, traditional dad. That's gonna be
Does that mean one of us has to take up
Shitty
smoking?
Father's Day gifts that we got. Shitty Father's Day gifts. Killing spiders in the house. I had to pull a possum out of my house. I tell you, I think I
Oh,
did. Yeah, I had to
nice.
pull a possum out of my house. My dog tried to do it twice. Like last week, I let her out to use the bathroom in the morning, and I leave the door cracked like this much so she can come right back in. I just so happen to be putting on my shoes, and I look over, and here she comes with this fucking possum in her mouth again. I kicked the door shut before she could get through. I was like, put that thing down. The first time she comes in, and I'm outside in the front yard. I was doing something. I think I was on the phone with my mom or something. Anyway, my wife comes out and she's like, "There's a possum in the house. There's a possum." I'm like, "What the what?" I said, "Is it dead?" She's like, "No, it's alive." I'm like, "Fuck." Sadie, we leave the door cracked a little bit so she can come back in, and then we just shut the door. Well, I guess she came in, no one was paying attention. So she jumped up on the couch and she had a possum in her mouth. And she just dropped the possum right there and was sitting next to it. Like, "I brought you a present. Here you go." So I go in and I'm like, "Oh, fuck." So there's just a possum. It's probably like that. It's not, it's a juvenile. And it's just plain dead. It's just like, ah.
Play possum.
And I touch it and I touch it. And I'm like, fuck. And I go out in the garage because I want to look for gloves because they got little razor sharp teeth. So if that thing bites me, I don't want to get.
Yeah.
I thought they carried rabies at first, but I looked it up afterwards. They don't. But and I guess people keep them as pets. I just saw a big, hairy, crazy rat on my couch, so I had to pick it up by its tail and I tossed it over the fence into my neighbor's yard.
Nice.
Sorry. And the same possum again. This is the fourth time that this dog has had this possum in his mouth. It's funny how long it lays there until it plays dead. And I keep coming back and checking, and then it's got one eye open. It's still there. And then it's got two eyes open, and then it's gone. It's like she's not hurting it. I think it's her friend, and she's trying to give her a warm place to sleep. I don't know.
They're homies. My brother told me that our dad used to knock them off the fence in their backyard, and their dog Sugar would be sitting down there in the lawn and catch it in flight, and then just shake the shit out of it and crush it. And it was bad. Yeah, my dad was a different kind of
come out. I never see the mother. It's only this little same baby that gets fucked up.
Possums are good. They eat bugs. They like cockroaches and shit like that. And
we ain't got no cockroaches, but bugs, yeah, sure. They I think it lives underneath this building that I'm in right now.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah, that's where I think it's coming from, underneath this building.
At least it's not a raccoon, man. Raccoons are rough, man. They come at you.
I saw a raccoon the other day coming out of the sewer.
Oh, yeah.
I was driving to work at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and here comes this fat raccoon. This thing looked like a little baby cub. I was like, "Oh, shit, that thing is huge." I think
possum's not going to get you, but that raccoon will fuck you up.
Yeah. Trash pandas. So.
That's right, trash pandas. So,
what else?
We actually wrap this up in 45 minutes today, Jason. I think we covered our topics.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think so for our next one, we're going to try and bring our older daughters on. Yeah. You're going to bring on Maddie. I'm going to bring on Bella.
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see how that one works.
Let's see how that works. That's great. So our first interviews. Awesome.
Yes, they should interview I think they should interview each other.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know that Maddie, I don't know that she'll have many questions. I think she'll freeze up, but
for a new mom. Yeah, I don't think Maddie's going to have any questions for Bella about being a new mom.
No, not about being. I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah,
that's why I think they should interview each other.
We'll see how it goes. You know how we do. We don't do a script. We're gonna roll in and.
But that drives you crazy. So I'm sure some of these you want to. He's twitching. People, he is really twitching right now. He just won't admit he's manning up. But
truthfully, I like this. I like having a direction without having a script. I do. The things that I was nervous about before, mainly about getting a lot of shit wrong, which I still do, I'm sure.
Who gives a fuck? We
A little bit.
corrected on Jim's
I don't,
fuck ups
I
in
don't,
the next
I don't mind
complaint.
getting it wrong. I just, as long as I can correct it and set the record straight, people fuck
The whole
up.
segment, bro. We got
Yeah,
you. We
yeah.
got you. We
Word.
got you. We're gonna make sure everything that you say and wrong gets corrected no matter what. Either that, or I'll try to correct you during if I know the subject.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
So, all right, guys. I want to thank all 17 of you. Hopefully, you all give it a listen, and we'll see you on the flip side.
All right, Jason. Have a good week, my friend.
You, brother.
Take care, bro.